Hey everybody, and welcome to our newest Bluewater webcast, the top 5 franchise marketing strategies for 2014. I'm MaKenzie, and today I'm joined by Craig, our Director of One-to-One Digital Strategy, and we're going to go over the top marketing strategies that your franchise will need this year. Alright, so we'll go ahead and get started, but I know that before we dive into the strategies, you wanted to talk for just a minute about mobile, why it matters, and how it's going to apply to the strategies that we talk about today.
Right. So mobile isn't actually a strategy because it applies to everything. It's sort of the foundation for all of these strategies. 91% of all adults say that their mobile phone is within arm's reach 24 hours a day. That kind of shows you how important mobile is and how it's everywhere now in society.
Absolutely. I even heard actually that mobile is on pace to overtake desktop traffic, meaning people are on their phones more than their computers.
Yeah, it will be in 2014. Mobile is going to overtake desktop.
Wow.
Yeah, that's really important. And actually, so this is a great stat. 74% of customers will only wait 5 seconds for a mobile website to appear.
I can vouch for that, maybe even less. I'm not very patient.
So basically what we're saying is you really have to have your mobile site optimized, or your site optimized for mobile, and make sure that all emails are optimized for mobile.
Perfect. All right, so we'll get started with the first strategy here, which you say is empower your customers.
Yeah, so what we mean by that is when you're posting things, make sure that they're shareable and valuable content. So it could be things like offers or advice or entertainment, something that's not just a sort of monotone, basic, same thing all the time. You really want to make sure that your content is valuable. 94% of people consider how helpful a link would be before they share it. So if you're trying to get your content shared, which kind of everybody is, right? That's sort of the key to social media. Make sure that you're giving some type of value to your customers.
Perfect. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I know I follow a lot of brands on Facebook and Twitter, and I tend to maybe not follow them for as long if they're just putting out just product pictures and they're not very engaging or asking questions, and especially, if they're posting offers, then I'll definitely stick around because I feel like I get something out of that.
Right. Yeah, offers are something that people love. I mean, a lot of people, that's why they follow brands. A good example is actually Taco Bell. So they create content specifically for social media. They also treat all of their fans like you would your friend. So when they are interacting with their customers, they're interacting like you would with your friends. And they also are giving them valuable content.
Yeah, I've seen their Instagram account, and they put out some pretty fun pictures.
Yeah, they do.
So if you have a chance, definitely go check that out. So, perfect. Well, let's move on to strategy number 2.
Okay.
Build relationships with your customers and community. Now, that might actually sound a little old school to some of the franchisees out there. Is that true, or how do you do that today?
It kind of is old school, but it doesn't mean it's not important. What you really want to do is get involved with the people around you. You're in a community, so become part of that community. Whether it's sponsoring a local sports team, partnering with a VFW to give some kind of discounts or offers to veterans. I mean, these are things that you can do. They're not hard, and they really make a huge difference. 83% of customers are willing to spend more on a product or service if they feel that they have a personal connection with that company. I mean, that's really powerful.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense too. All right, so I'll back up. Now, you gave the example of connecting maybe with veterans in the community. We actually know of a brand that did that, right?
You're right. So one of the brands, Great Clips, they gave free haircuts to veterans on Veterans Day, which was a great promotion and got a lot of people involved. A way to take it one step farther is if you partner with a local VFW, right? And then you kind of are getting the word out. You're letting more veterans know. You get more people to your location. So little things like that are a great way to kind of amplify and connect even deeper with your community.
Sure. How would a franchisee integrate mobile with this strategy?
Well, what you do with mobile is really kind of amplify whatever you're doing in the community. So whether it's through a social channel that people are using their mobiles to, like most people visit Facebook on their phones, right? So if you have veterans come in, take pictures, put it on your Facebook page, that goes out, people are more likely to see it on their mobile device.
All right, awesome. Let's move on to strategy number 3, which is surprise and delight your customers. Now, that sounds a little challenging these days, actually.
Well, that's really just marketing speak, right? So what we're trying to say is use behavioral-based data to give personalized messages to your customers. That's really what we're talking about, is personalization. Personalization really helps sort of amplify your message, and it works. It works better than non-personalized messages. So let's take email, for example. An average open rate on email is about 15%. If it's personalized, it's 19.5. It's almost 5% more. I mean, that's a big percentage. Another good statistic is 40% of customers say they buy more from a product or service if the shopping experience has been personalized. It really kind of shows the power of personalization.
You know, that makes a lot of sense, and I know we've mentioned this in previous webcasts. I definitely will pay more attention to an email that says, "Hey, MaKenzie, check this out." In the subject line, I see that, my eye is drawn right to it.
That's exactly right. And then if you want to take that to sort of the retail example. So Target does something, I know they're not a franchise, but you know, everyone knows Target. They really encourage their employees to do something called vibing. Sounds kind of silly, but what it really is connecting with a customer about a product. So if a customer is asking about a product, they want to tell a story, to personalize it, to connect with them. So if you take that to a franchisee level, you can do the same thing. Encourage your employees to kind of tell stories about the product or service, or if it's a food item, say that they really like it. It's their favorite. It's their brother's favorite. Or this item is, I use this at home doing that. If you really connect with people on a personal level and personalize it, it makes all the difference.
Okay, awesome. So let's move on to strategy number 4, which you say is leveraging location-based marketing.
Right. So location-based marketing, what I'm really talking about is location-based tools. So we're talking about social tools that allow people to check in. Now this really only applies to franchisees that have an actual location, right? So a brick and mortar. But you really leveraging things like Foursquare, Facebook, Yelp, really Foursquare and Facebook that allow people to check in is huge. I mean, it's really a way to kind of get the word out that you're there. For example, 95% of all mobile users use their device for local search. That means that they've got their mobile device in their hand, they're doing things, they're looking for things. If you make it easier to be found, it's key. Those check-in things, not only do they let their friends know where you are, it also helps with local search.
Sure.
So it's really, really important.
Absolutely. Now, as an individual franchisee, I know depending upon the brand and the franchise itself, not all locations are going to have individual profiles. So how can an individual franchisee leverage that or work with corporate if they're not sure where to start and don't currently use location-based marketing?
Yeah, it's actually a good question. So you really want to work with the corporate office, but things like Foursquare are free. And really anyone can do it. And with Foursquare, you don't have to monitor it, you don't have to check in, it's there, and then you can offer people things for checking in. So that's how you get people to do it, is incentivize.
Sure.
It's really the important part, because otherwise why would somebody do it? Unless they're like obsessed with Foursquare. But really you want to incentivize people to check in. So offer a little discount, give them a little bonus, give them a free little something. You know, anything you can, it doesn't have to be big, just something small to incentivize people to check in.
And is there a franchise brand that's doing the location-based marketing really well?
Yeah, there's a number of them, but one that we can use, for example, is Starbucks. So they take it kind of to the extreme. They actually have a badge on Foursquare that's a barista badge. Now, so that's kind of the farthest extreme. You don't have to go that far, but because they're doing that and encouraging so many people to do it, they have people checking in, millions of people checking in all the time, every day. You don't have to go that far and have a badge, but you could give a little bonus to somebody, encourage people to check in, put a little sign that says, hey, check in and you get a 5% discount on some product, or you know, something little, and it really makes the world of difference.
All right, so last strategy is strategy number 5. Listen and respond to customers in real time.
Right.
That seems almost impossible to do with the speed of technology and social media nowadays.
Yeah, well, this is probably the hardest one, to be honest. It's very important, and people are doing it all the time. Actually, the Super Bowl is a great example. You saw tons of brands all trying to do real time because of the success that Oreos had last year in the blackout. So everyone wants to be a real-time marketer, right? It is important, though, if you think about when you're interacting with somebody, 50% of all engagements happen within the first 30 minutes in social media, and actually 80% happen within the first 180 minutes. So people really expect to get a response right away. So if you can't, then maybe you don't want to be on Twitter, right? These are things to consider.
You know, you actually make a really good point. Like I have been the last couple of years a very avid shopper at Express, which obviously isn't a franchise, but they're a pretty large, well-known brand. It's, you know, retail clothing.
Right.
and I asked them a question on Twitter pertaining to an order that I had made and was expecting to, be mailed to my house.
Sure.
And I never got any response at all.
Right.
So within probably a week, I just unfollowed them.
Right. And left a bad taste, right?
It did, really. Yeah. They didn't respond to my question. It was something that I really needed to know. So I didn't really feel very valued as a customer when I wasn't listened to.
Right. And that's the exact wrong thing, right? That's not what you want to give your customers, that kind of experience. On the other side, Wendy's does a great job. So they respond to everyone on Facebook and Twitter, regardless if it's negative or positive. So if somebody's complaining, they'll respond and say, well, what's wrong? What can we do? And if it's positive, they'll say, hey, that's great. And they'll promote it. If it's a picture or something that somebody has and they had a good experience, they'll promote it and amplify it. So that's kind of the really good example of how to do it.
That's very, very smart. And I think that going back to your point and how, it was such a good job that Wendy's does, that's probably the reason why so many franchise brands tend to do more social media activity from the brand level versus at the local level. Because as you said before, if I'm a franchisee, I'm just trying to run my business from day to day, let alone having to worry about a Facebook page and a Twitter page and answer people's questions. That could be very overwhelming.
Yeah, it's hard. One thing to remember is on the corporate side, they have agencies that do that. Right, and that's their only job. So it's a little bit easier for them.
So I think it would probably be safe to say that if a franchise brand doesn't necessarily encourage the individual locations to run their social media and monitor and do the listening on their own for that reason, then it's probably best just to let the brand go ahead and take care of it for you, and it's one less thing you have to do, right?
Yeah, exactly. That would be my advice.
Perfect. Okay, so that was the fifth strategy. We are all done. I can't believe we did that so fast, but we know it's a lot of information. So we'll go ahead and recap, and Craig will kind of recap his tips as well. So we'll go back to the first strategy, empower your customers.
And what that is really when you're putting out content, make sure it's shareable and valuable to your customers.
Right. Second one was build relationships with customers and community.
Yeah, and that's really about creating emotional connections with your community and your customers.
Perfect. Third one was surprise and delight your customers.
Which is basically leverage behavioral-based data to personalize your messages.
Perfect. That's something that everybody really responds to, obviously.
Yeah.
Fourth one, leverage location-based marketing.
Right, which is really leveraging tools that allow for check-ins at your location.
So Facebook, Foursquare, etc.
Yep.
Awesome. And fifth and final one we just went over, listen and respond to customers in real time.
Right, and that's about showing your audience that they can expect timely, relevant interactions with you.
All right, well, that is it for today. Thanks everybody for joining us. You can go back and review these tips at bluewaterbrand.com/top5. There you're going to be able to watch the webcast again. And don't miss the infographic, which has a lot of other great tips and stats for you to help you with your franchise marketing in 2014 as well. If you have questions for myself or Craig, you can go to bluewaterbrand.com. Our contact information is right on our people pages. And again, don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, subscribe to the Blue Water blog for more franchise marketing tips. We will see everybody next time.